Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? Starting up, bringing up the front today was Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. Patrick Magner, meow, from Houston, Texas. And Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. We've started strong, folks. We've started strong. How's everybody doing? Let's see. Breaking. Chief Justice Roberts issues a rare statement rebuking President Trump and his allies for calling for the impeachment of judges who have ruled against the administration. And that is from Paul Fleming, who's from, I didn't forget, because it's Powder Springs, Georgia. And of course, in the House, roaring is Ray from Houston, Texas. How you doing, my brother Ray? Paul Fleming, it was great hearing your voice this morning on the KPFT radio show. I love when I get some, what do I say? When our transported members from the evening show, the afternoon show, say a little hello on Politics Done Right in the morning. So thank you for being there. J. Ray is a mainstay as well. Patrick is a mainstay who called in today as well with his wisdom as usual. We also have now Egberto. I posted this yesterday. Trump and the Republicans want to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid by $880 billion as part of their budget. Democrats are between a rock and a hard place. It just jumped. Between a rock and a hard place. Where did it go? There we go. Shut down the government and force a meaningful change, or allow Republicans to slash and burn through our social safety net. Schumer chose poorly, and the left-wing bubble are more pissed off at Schumer than they are at Trump and the Republicans. I have an article. I'm going to read your stuff in a minute, Bridge MCP. But I did an article today, just before we came on air. In fact, I finished the article. In fact, I was trying to rush and hurry up the article because I wanted you guys to make sure to share this article, peeps. I want you to share this article. It's called "Bad Move. Do Not Believe Chuck Schumer." It's reason for allowing the continuing resolution, and I'm gonna put in the link in there. I have a favor to ask every single one of you that sees that link, whether in YouTube, Instagram, or wherever you're watching the program. Please go ahead and share that link. And let me show you what it looks like. I'm going to just read the top of it. It says, "Bad move. Do not believe Chuck Schumer's reason for allowing Trump's continuing resolution." Schumer's statement that supporting Trump's continuing resolution was preferable is laughably wrong. It was a capitulation to Trump that tells Republicans that Democrats are timid and can be rolled. I had a discussion this morning with a dear friend, a dear supporter of ours. We had a slight disagreement, but I think in the aggregate, we agree. And I think where we agree is, the layup to what Chuck did. But anyway, I want to read the first paragraph where it says, or the summary. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's decision to support Donald Trump's continuing resolution was terrible, as it reflects the broader failures of Democratic leadership. Schumer's reasoning to avoid Democrats being blamed for a government showdown is weak and unnecessary because Republicans should have taken the full responsibility. Schumer's sudden reversal coincided with a sharp downturn in the stock market, raising concerns that Wall Street's influence played a role in his decision. Schumer's action was a capitulation to Trump and a failure to stand up. Read the whole article, the summary, and the complementary content. Please share it. Please share it. All right. We also have in the house Joanne from Los Angeles, California. Maywood from Long Beach, California. Edward Peña. Senor Peña, ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from, Mr. Peña? I would like to go ahead and make sure to salute wherever you are from. So where are you from, Mr. Peña? All right, let's go and read what our sister has to say. Bridge MC Peace, Egberto, please read this and then put the image on screen. Thank you. Elon Musk has claimed his design for the Cybertruck was inspired by Blade Runner and Wet Nelly, the Lotus Esprit driven by James Bond in The Spy Who Loved Me. Also claimed that he decided to create the Cybertruck because he thought Ford's trucks were boring. Of course, he's also claimed that the design was his idea and that he is actually capable of designing something. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the 1980 Citroën Karen. Of course, this is not the only design similar to the Cybertruck that was created well before it. And of course, it was never in production. Nevertheless, I do think it's another nail in the coffin of his constant grandiose statements that have nothing to do with reality. Then again, I suppose if I took enough ketamine, I'd be making some pretty grandiose statements as well. All right, Bridge, I think you're going to win the picture of the day. Wait a minute. Bridge, something happened when I try to click on that link. Let me try one more time. See if it comes up. Hey, Bridge, there's a problem with that link. It's gone. I wonder if it disappeared. It's a 403 now. So Elon Musk must have got to it. See if you can find another copy of it to print out there, but I can't get to see it at all. The Imgur is gone. So please check to see if there's something that I need to, another version that you can find somewhere. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Para ver. Okay, there's another one from Bridge. Oh, let me show you what it's showing, Bridge. I don't know if that's my computer system or what, but let me show you what it's showing on the screen so that you can see that I'm trying to put it there. But you see, that's all that shows up, HTML metadata. It says Imgur is temporarily overcapacity. Oh, it's overcapacity. You blew the system up everybody's looking at it, evidently. We'll see if we can get it at some other time. Later on, I'll try again as we go on with the show. All right, what else have we got here? From E2247, what is that? We have. Okay, thank you for bringing us that. AVS Social, a global movement connecting over 70 million citizens worldwide, bringing people-powered politics to decision-making everywhere. All right, I'll take a look at that E2247. Thank you for giving us that. What else have we got here? Apneas breaking. A federal judge ruled dismantling of USDA likely violated the Constitution and blocks Elon Musk Doge from further cuts. I love that. When did that happen? Haven't seen that yet. I have not yet seen that. All right. We also have AVAS supports Mahmoud Khalil as a 70 million person global. Got it. Thank you for that. All right, Lee the Bearcat says, peace is coming in Ukraine. Also, the astronauts are rescued. Well, yeah, they had to be rescued from a private sector rocket that failed and a private sector rocket that we hope will work. Please remember that all those designs were done under the auspices of initial investments by we the people. Please remember that. By the way, I worked for NASA for quite a while. All right, let's see what else we got here. Another one. There is all right. I guess Michael Ruddin got it for us. Let's go ahead and put it on the screen. There it is, guys. Let's show you what Musk claimed was his own. There is the 1980 Citroen Karen. And of course, there is the Tesla. So once again, just like Trump lies, he found a partner that lies just as well. Yep, I would say that they're pretty damn similar. Even take a look at the angulations, right? They're pretty darn similar. The liar in chief has a liar in state. Okay. Good one, Bridge. I love that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. E2247 says, when millions of voices unite behind a focused and well thought out campaign, we create unstoppable momentum. I love that. Bridge MCP says, LOL, Michael Rudden has won Egberto, and I just placed it out there. And let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, App News breaking, the Pentagon will cut up to 60,000 civilian jobs, but fewer than 21,000 people accepted voluntary resignation, defense officials say. Well, I can't complain about us losing defense money for defense spending, not necessarily for the people, but for all the ridiculous amount of money we spend on bombs. So I am there. I'm there. Joe from California, LA says Tesla self-driving was put to a test. A painting of the road continuing. Would the Tesla stop or crash into it? Why Coyote? Hilarious. Video is on YouTube. Wait a minute. I am scared to look at the YouTube video. Please go ahead and post it, Joe. Please go ahead and post a link to the video. I'm interested to see what's going to happen if it goes through. Because, ideally, what that the radar and that truck should be able to do is figure out if there's any signal coming back from the picture. So, and by the way, I do I did quite a bit of SCADA programming and feedback control and all that kind of stuff, right? So who knows? All right, let's see what else we got here. John Roberts, in a rare statement, hits back at Trump. Paul Fleming told us about this earlier. Chief Justice Roberts is pushing back against President Donald Trump and his allies' call to impeach judges who'd rule against the administration. For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response for the agreement. All right, let's go to Patrick Magner. Patrick Magner, you are on air with Politics Done Right. How are you doing, my brother?
Doing fine. It's Patrick Magner and Edward Pena.
Okay.
Edward Pena is next to me.
Hey, Mr. Pena, how are you doing, sir?
Tengo que arreglar la ñ en mi N.
Oye, ¿por qué no es que has puesto la ñ en el chat? ¿Qué es lo que te pasa, hermano? ¿Tú no eres latino?
No, sí soy. Lo que pasó es que mi hijo lo hizo cuando me hizo YouTube y pues él no sabía que tenía que hacer el ñ en el N.
Okay, let me translate for our audience because most of our audience don't speak Spanish. I was messing with my Latino brother brought in by Patrick Magner, and I was giving him a hard time because he spelled Peña incorrectly. It's a Spanish name, Peña, with the ñ, and he didn't. So I wanted to give him a hard time. Anyway, my brother Peña, talk to me.
Well, you're talking about Teslas. We were down in Angleton, and he was directing traffic so I could cheat the middle of the road, get elevations on it, so that we could do a profile of the road so that they could add to it. And all day, everybody did what we told them to. He was waving people over. And I showed him a video of a self-driving Tesla running people over in China. It was a runaway. I said, watch out for these. I said, if we're gonna have a problem, it's gonna be with one of these. And lo and behold, about 3 or 4 hours into it, tell them what happened.
Yeah, Tesla driver, auto driving. I'm directing. It waited till it got about maybe 100 feet in front of me before it caught it snap. And I think that the driver had to catch it.
Oh, in other words, a driver saw that you were in the road. Otherwise, it would run you over.
It would have ran me over.
Yeah, we're assuming it was self-driving. Everybody went to the right, and the Tesla went to the left onto the shoulder towards us.
You know, it is interesting, right? Because what is a dirty little secret is that Tesla's software is terrible. You know, there are a lot of Chinese companies making these electric cars now with self-driving that works. And by the way, even Burkina Faso, the African company is now making an electric car that competes well with the Teslas. So I don't know. I think Elon Musk is in trouble, and it's going to show that the genius isn't a genius after all. Like I told you guys, he's neither an engineer nor is he a real economist or anything. He simply got capital, and with that, he used everybody else's innovation to move forward, and then he marketed it as his own. Anything else, Patrick?
No, that's it. We figured we just add to the Tesla conversation.
Well, I am glad that you called in. Thank you so kindly, and you guys have a great day. Y mira, hermano, cambia esa cosa para una ñ. I'm giving you a hard time.
Oh yeah, he said when he first got he worked with me 5 years ago, and he got laid off because the tech stopped work, so he had to get a job with me. And he and I haven't really talked politics much, but when he got in the truck, he's like, I didn't know much about politics, and I didn't know it was like this.
Hey, well, tell him one thing, okay? Or no, I'm going to tell him. Hey, guys, excuse my Spanish for a minute, okay? Mira, hermano, si tú eres uno de los latinos que votaron para Trump, tiene mucho trabajo para reemplazar ese voto. ¿Está bien, hermano?
No, yo no lo hice para Trump para nada. Yo ya sabía que ese señor no está bueno para Estados Unidos y para la gente, nadie.
Gracias. All right. Hey, guys, what I told our Latino brother there is I said, hey, a lot of Latino brothers went ahead and voted for Trump. If you are one of them, you have to atone for that vote. And he said, hell no, I didn't vote for him because he doesn't care about anybody. Hey, guys, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, okay?
Yes, sir. You do the same.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for calling in. Anyway, guys, I've got a great video for you guys. Those of you who listened to the show this morning saw it already. Watch it again. It's a good video, I think. So let's go ahead and talk to our MAGA brothers and sisters. Let's see. Do we have our MAGA brothers and sisters in the house? Well, we have Lee the Beer Cat, my brother from Austin. I don't see too many of them in here today. All right, let's go ahead and play the video. They'll see it in the podcast. Let's go ahead and play it and move on. Trump and MAGA has this one thing about owning the libs, and they think that if they inflict as much pain on libs, the people they consider libs or progressives or blue states or blue counties, whatever it is, they believe inflicting as much pain in them is what gives them pleasure. I know it sounds arcane, but it's what gives them pleasure. Well, it turns out, when I was growing up, there was always this saying in our culture that if you are going to be digging a grave for somebody, you better dig two. But in the case with MAGA, if you're going to dig a grave, make sure it is right-sized for yourself. Because as it turns out, most of what you are doing to harm those people who have no malice or ill intent against you, you just hate them because Donald Trump and the right wing has told you to hate them. Well, you know what? In doing so, what they're doing is telling you in hating them, what we're going to do is actually going to hurt you. So that grave that you're digging is not for the libs, it's for yourself. I want you to listen to Jen Psaki, who kind of breaks it down with what these guys are doing to themselves.
I wanted to start tonight with what I kind of think is one of the unifying principles of this administration. And that is basically their myopic view on owning the libs. And by that, they mean doing anything they can to offend, humiliate, or destroy things that anyone left of Sean Hannity may possibly care about. I mean, Donald Trump visited the Kennedy Center for a board meeting today after seizing control of it and making himself the new chair. What a good use of time for a president. Lots of people perform there. They're not political, but to Trump, it was too woke and needed to be straightened out. So yes, to own the libs, Trump is basically destroying the Kennedy Center. People are refusing to perform there anymore. And he basically said so himself today.
We'll make it great again, but it is so much like what I'm witnessing in other places. We have open borders. We have men playing in women's sports. It's all the same thing. It's all the same mentality and thinking.
It's all the same mentality and thinking. The Kennedy Center, the culture wars, actual policy of any sort, it's all the same thinking to Trump. And it's exactly the same thinking when it comes to the way he and Elon Musk are gutting the federal government. I mean, take NOAA, which is the agency responsible for things like forecasting our weather and tracking climate trends and responding to extreme weather events. Most people accurately see it as an apolitical tool for knowing what the weather is going to be outside, which, hey, we all rely on. A place where a bunch of science nerds prepare for natural disasters. That's what happens in that building. But Project 2025 labeled it as, quote, one of the main drivers of the climate change alarm industry. Think about how absurd that statement is. This is an agency made up of scientists who are literally measuring and predicting weather patterns, some of which are caused by, yes, the climate crisis, and they're destroying that agency. That's the goal. That's front and center for the Trump team. That's what they're trying to do. Now, over the past few weeks, the Trump administration has slashed hundreds of NOAA staff, including people responsible for producing critical weather forecasts and maintaining radar systems, and they're not done. The agency is tasked with cutting an additional 1,000 jobs, which means 10% of its workforce. See, to Donald Trump and his buddy Elon Musk, NOAA is just another woke agency that stirs up climate hysteria. And so it's one of the agencies that has found itself in their crosshairs. But here's the thing. When devastating tornadoes swept across the country this week, it actually wasn't coastal Democrats in their path at all. It was states like Mississippi and Arkansas and Alabama and Missouri, states that would definitely not self-identify as woke in any way, and states that would definitely benefit from a fully operational and fully staffed and fully funded NOAA. What about FEMA, which provides essential tools for cleaning up and rebuilding after devastating storms, like the ones we also saw last week and this week? Trump and Elon Musk claim the agency is a political tool wielded by Democrats during disasters. I don't even know what they mean by that exactly. So guess what they've done? They've cut jobs there too. And Trump has even mused about shutting it down altogether. That's how they're owning the libs, I guess, right? I mean, that's their approach. But guess which states get the most recovery funding from FEMA and the Department of Housing and Urban Development? Well, states like Louisiana and Florida and Texas, not exactly target Democratic states, those ones typically. Notice the theme here? See, the things they've already done and things they're planning to do actually hurt red states more than blue states. They're trying to own the libs, but they're actually hurting Trump voters. The people they are hurting the most are in the very states that voted to put Trump in the White House. And we're seeing this everywhere, all the time. It's happening every day. They're hurting red states by working to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, even though 80% of the investments are in Republican districts. They'll continue to hurt people who voted for them if they go after Social Security, which 1 in 5 Americans across every single state rely on. And they'll hurt lots of proud MAGA members if they go after Medicaid. In one Appalachian county in Kentucky, almost 90% of the residents in Harlan County voted for Trump, and almost half of them received Medicaid. One woman relying on a Medicaid-funded treatment program for addiction told the Washington Post, if it were to go away today, I would be homeless tomorrow. I would lose everything, all my counseling, all my treatment. If Trump takes the things that they're saying, it's going to be devastation for Eastern Kentucky for sure. And you don't have to just to take her word, or my word for that matter, for it. Here's Steve Bannon.
A lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you, if you don't think so, you are dead wrong. Medicaid's going to be a complicated one. Just can't take a Medex to it, although I would love to.
The point is that guy is not exactly known for his empathy. He's not really a super empathetic guy, but he understands the political reality of Medicaid and other issues too. Trump is also hurting red states with his beloved tariffs. He loves those tariffs. According to New York Times analysis, nearly 8 million Americans work in industries targeted by tariffs, and the majority are Trump voters. The jobs that could be hit by retaliation are especially concentrated in pockets of the upper Midwest, South and Southeast, including many rural parts of the county that are responsible for producing agricultural goods. And again, don't take my word for it. or their word for it. Here's Mike Pence.
The truth is, when it comes to tariffs, the importer here in the United States pays the tariff. The foreign country doesn't pay the tariff. More often than not, passes along the increased costs on that product to the consumer. Too often I hear the administration talking about broad-based unilateral tariffs that I think will ultimately work against American jobs, American families, and American business.
There you heard it, Mike Pence. See, what's becoming increasingly clear is that in this broad effort to own the libs, Donald Trump is actually owning his own voters. You wonder why Republicans don't want to hold town meetings out there.
So yes, it seems like what Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and all these others are doing, instead of really dramatically affecting the libs, the progressives, it's really going to harm MAGA, rural people, more than anything else. Sometimes, again, your hate can cause you to do all the wrong things. Your hate from putting a woman in office, your hate from putting a woman of color in office, because that hate has caused you to do something you know was best for you, but you chose otherwise, and now we've made the entire country to pay the price, but specifically you that voted this thug into office more so than anyone else. What gives? Well, I suggest right now we all work together to ensure that these guys are unable to fulfill the wishes that you thought was actually going to affect the other and not you. Exactly right. You thought it wasn't going to affect you. But anyhow, message to Lee the Bearcat. Tornadoes have always happened. In fact, there were times they were super tornadoes. You know, that time when our atmosphere had a hell of a lot more carbon, when we were hotter, before all the plants took all the carbon out of a lot of the carbon out of the air to form the wood, the oil, and all these other things. We had a different climate in those days. Well, we are just going through a cycle and burning it back into the air. We're just going to recreate the violent weathers we had back then. So yeah, we can decide to go there. It's more expensive. If we're going to go there, we should make the price of gasoline effectively the price of the damage it causes. But we don't do that. We call those costs externalities. Let's talk about that some other time. But hey, Charles Lindahl, welcome aboard. I saw that if you want to call into the show, it's 281-823-7747. It's not my cell number. That's the number on the screen for the show, brother. All right, let's see what else we got here. Bridge, I try to pull that thing up again. It is still too busy. It's still too busy, so you see if you can find another one that maybe Radnin will find it for you. Excellent options by retired U.S. Army Major General in the Hill. Let's see. Trump, Gaza, a profile in arrogance. I can imagine that already. Let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, Tila rival BYD unveils battery that charges in same time it takes to fill up a tank with petrol. Another nail in the Tesla coffin. Oh, wow. I hadn't seen that report. I got to archive that. Thank you for that one. Chinese Tesla rival BYD's electric cars can now fill up as fast as a petrol tank. Madre mia. Thank you for that article. I hadn't known about this at all. Let me go ahead and paste it on the screen because I want to do some research on that one later on. I have the absolute best in you guys. I'm gonna just say it. I've got the absolute best. That's how the collective is much better at getting information than any one individual. And I'm glad that you like my Spanish, Joanne. My Panamanian Spanish is different than the Spanish that would be spoken in Panama City. I'm from another city called Colón, and we speak with the Caribbean accent in Spanish, right? Because again, we're from Colón. A lot of Caribbean influence, right? Así que así es como nosotros hablamos el español. Tú sabes. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Egberto, everyone else can see it. Maybe it is your cash. Oh, it could be. It could be my cash, but I don't want to mess with anything right now that would potentially cause us to crash. Okay. If my cache is corrupted, who knows what happens when I do that. Michael Rani, you have another place to upload pics. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Joe says increase rate extremes and change in latitude, longitudinal zones, which also cause new virus exposures. Exactly. There's a lot to climate. League, the Bearcat says, so do we quit breathing that is CO2? No. Look, we can breathe with several different levels of carbon dioxide in the air. So, yeah, that is something to, and I don't know what the levels are. I never did any research on that. All right, it seems like Bridge, okay, post your images here. Okay, I see. That's something else, sir. All right, let me go to the screen now, and here's the deal. I want you guys to see this. Let me first give a prep. As you know, unlike America, Cuba, as a matter of goodwill, exports doctors all over the world. All right? All over Africa, all over the Caribbean, all over Central America. I always tell people who love to rag on Cuba a few things. You can hate communism, and I think none of us want a communist regime. But I'm going to tell you something. You will never see me talk down Cuba. You will never see me talk down not Venezuela. I'm not talking about the current government, but the previous government, because I understand why they came into being. Hugo Chavez came into being because they had a plutocracy that took all the spoils and left the people without. The same thing occurred in Cuba, okay, where their dictator, I forgot his name right now, under the auspices of the United States, took everything, and it breeds revolution. And let me tell you, people behave the same way everywhere. But let me pause so I can put this on the screen that Bridge asked for. It goes here. Here's the truth. Trump's supporters don't measure his success by what he does for them. They measure by what he does against people they don't like. That's why they see him as being successful. This is why they will never abandon him. His tormenting of the others sustain him. That is like that experiment where you give somebody a button to turn the electricity up and hurt somebody else. There's a sickness within some people that gets pleasure out of others being hurt. I know most of you aren't that way, but there are some people like that. All right, let me get back to the story here. Let me put it on the side of the show right here. Caribbean leaders, and I think this is a story here from why are Caribbean leaders fighting Trump to keep Cuban doctors? As it turns out, like I said now, what these countries, the reason they fell into where they've fallen is what the plutocracy had done to their people. In the case of Venezuela, Carlos Andrés Pérez and all the others that let the plutocracy run wild, a country that is awash in petroleum, awash in gold, and all the natural resources possible, but because it isn't picked up by the regular people, a few take advantage of it, and that created the Hugo Chavez. And under the Hugo Chavez regime, don't let what you hear over here fool you. Poverty was cut more than in half under Hugo Chavez until all the sanctions came, until all the activities to destroy the government came. Same thing under Castro. Castro came and took over the Cuban government. He tried to get into an alliance with the United States, but because he wasn't a capitalist, they didn't want any of that. So instead, they had to turn to the next best option, which is your rival. Your enemy is the enemy of my enemy, something like that, right? But the one thing that I can tell you about Cuba is the following. When the leader of Cuba, I can't remember what's his name? Arnulfo, that's Panama. I'll remember it as we go on. When the leader of Cuba, who was an ally of the United States, was in power, people who looked like me had two options. You could be janitors, sweepers, that kind of laborer, or you could be a dancer, like a dancer or a singer, like, Celia Cruz, who's from Cuba. That's what people who looked like me, we were relegated to those kinds of jobs, sweeping the floors, cleaning the hotel rooms, right? But when Castro came into power, you know what happened? People who looked like me became engineers, doctors, lawyers, and all these professional jobs. No longer relegated to sweeping floors only, or that. Not that there's anything wrong with those jobs, but I'm just saying you had upward mobility. Okay? Now, America crippled Cuba. Cuba is doing badly, not because Cuba is a communist country. Or actually, to put it bluntly, it is a communist country, but it would have been a socialist country like, Switzerland or Denmark and any one of these countries, right? But America would not allow that. And they made, just like France made Haiti pay the price, America made Cuba pay the price. So what does Cuba do? They have so many educated people. Their education level surpasses ours. Their education level, their mortality rate for kids surpasses ours. Our mortality is a lot higher than their mortality for kids. Okay? They have doctors they have so many doctors that they ship, and nurses, they ship them around the world. To put it bluntly, 26,000 plus of them are all over working around the world, doing good in communities that have no doctors, no nurses. And you know what the Trump administration wants to do? It wants the Caribbean and the Latin American countries to say, no, you cannot have those Cuban doctors and nurses in your countries. And you know what's the excuse they want to use? You're underpaying those doctors and nurses to come in your country and work. Of course, we don't speak. Batista is who I was talking about. Thank you about that, Michael Rodden. Batista was a lousy, horrendous dictator of Cuba before Castro. So we don't want those nurses and those doctors from Cuba going into those countries, right? Because you know what they really want, right? They really want us to import American doctors that's going to charge an arm and a leg if you're in a... So what is it that America said it's going to do? It has told all the leaders of the Caribbean that if they keep those Cuban doctors and nurses taking care of your people in your countries, we are going to cut your visas. And what I love is the responses from my Caribbean brothers and sisters. And what I want to do is play you one of them right now. Let me go ahead and put it on the screen for you to hear, because I love his response. Let's go for it.
We rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates. But we are now being accused of taking part in the program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our U.S. visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
Now, what I love about that is that, no amount of coercion. If you don't get rid of the Cuban doctors and nurses who are healing your people while you are not doing anything, while America talks a big game and just drop bombs, well, you know what? Countries like China, countries like Nigeria, the many other countries of the world, they're helping out each other without dropping bombs. Here is another leader that I want you to listen to. Love her as well.
This matter with the Cubans and the nurses should tell us everything that we need to know. Barbados does not currently have Cuban medical staff or Cuban nurses, but I will be the first to go to the line and to tell you that we could not get through the pandemic without the Cuban nurses and the Cuban doctors. I will also be the first to tell you that we paid them the same thing that we pay Bajans, and that the notion, as was peddled not just by this government in the US, but the previous government, that we were involved in human trafficking by engaging with the Cuban nurses was fully repudiated and rejected by us. Now, I don't believe that we have to shout across the seas, but I am prepared, like others in this region, that if we cannot reach a sensible agreement on this matter, then if the cost of it is the loss of my visa to the US, then so be it. But what matters to us is principles. And I have said over and over that principles only mean something when it is inconvenient to stand by it. No, we don't have to shout, but we can be resolute. And I therefore look forward to standing with my CARICOM brothers. I wish I could say brothers and sisters, but brothers, to be able to ensure that we explain that what the Cubans have been able to do for us, far from approximating itself to human trafficking, has been to save lives and limbs and sight for many a Caribbean person.
Now, you see, all Trump and all these guys are all talk. While they are sending bombs to Israel and they help all of that, when it comes to helping the people that really deserve the help, right? While it comes to doing the right thing, they're never there. I want you to listen to, those were two heads of states. The woman was from Barbados. The man is from Trinidad, Tobago. Now, I want you to listen to one from, I think, the Grenadines, which is the lady here.
So the U.S. is putting sanctions on any country and restrictions on any country that is working with Cuban health workers, right? Now, let me tell y'all something, okay? As a Vincentian, right? And I know for a majority of other CARICOM countries, Cuba plays a vital part in the health of the Caribbean. Cuba has some of the best medical care, but if you didn't know, the doctors and the nurses from Cuba will actually work in other Caribbean countries. So they work at one of our centers that do like hemodialysis. That's something that we can't offer, without them. We're a small country. And even they'll perform like eye surgery, other surgeries as well for doctors or specialists that we may not have. There's a Cuban doctor that may be able to offer that, right? And I know Trinidad works with them as well, Grenada works with them as well, Dominica works with them as well. And so the US has basically said, okay, if these countries continue to work with Cuba, we're going to take away the visa of the prime ministers. So they can't come to the US or whatever. And basically, the prime minister, the PM of Barbados, shout out my girl, and the comrade Ralph, okay, they were like, okay, well, you do what you gotta do. We're going to do what we gotta do, but we're not going to stop relations with Cuba. US is one to say we trafficking the people. This is a partnership. Just because you and Cuba they don't like each other, that don't have nothing to do with us. And for us, for Vincentians, like, We actually get like a couple medical scholarships a year for our students to go to medical school in Cuba. They have to like learn Spanish and stuff. But basically, I love that the Caribbean is standing up. They're like, listen, you do what you got to do, friend. But we are not stopping relations with Cuba. So basically, you know, Trump and them trying to threaten the Caribbean. And the Caribbean is like, you about to learn something today. All right, Ralph? Okay. Ralph, yes, stand on business with this. We're talking about this specifically, okay? Everybody, stand on business.
I thought that was so cute, the way she did that. But anyhow, so yeah, folks, you know, right now, and let me tell you something about our current policy, America's current policy. All we are doing around the world is belligerence to bullyism and war to the rest of the world. That is what we currently represent. And because here in America, we fail to open our viewport to see the entire horizon of what is out there, we are falling way behind. It would do us well to realize that we are 4% of the world population. And while because of capitalism and the industrial base and our industrial prowess post World War II, we have had a very long run as the leader of the world. But let me just tell you, we are solely the leader of the world militarily right now. Because if you understand what is occurring around the world, first of all, let's forget about what China exports to the rest of the world. Let's just go into China internally. Xi'an, Shanghai, Beijing, and all these major cities where the sum total of people are more than the entire population of the United States in the middle class right now. If you look at what those cities look like now, which again, most MAGA folks will never ever see. If you see what progress they have made while we are building bombs and dropping bombs, as we leave our MAGA folks behind, as we leave our Appalachian folks behind, as we leave the ghettos and the barrios behind. When you look at the rest of the world, let me tell you, China is in Jamaica building freeways, built a freeway that is functional right now. They are throughout Latin America making deals and building up. They're throughout Africa making deals and not dropping bombs or not forcing these people to do anything they don't want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. China is not doing this because China is a benevolent country. They're not. In fact, they have some of the same ills that we have. They go into Africa and they display some of their leadership display a degree of racism. Of course, the people, the laborers and everybody that go there from China, there's some great intermixing occurring right there in China, in Africa right now, with all these folks talking Chinese and they're talking Swahili. It's amazing what we don't see over here as we live this myopic view of what we think the world is. It'll do us well to understand what's going on around the rest of the world. Because by the time too many find out, it'll be too late. And what Donald Trump is doing with tariffs and bullying people and all of that, it only exacerbates and speed up our decline. We don't have to really decline. We could decide to be a part of the world without having to be the leader of the world. We can decide to be a part of the world. And whenever we do that, things will get a whole lot better, not just for the rest of the world, but even for our people that currently are suffering under the boot of capitalism. I hope folks start to understand. Anyway, folks, I have a few more minutes left before this stuff ends. Give me a call, 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. I like it's not as simple as what you're saying, CSEC, about what Obama did, Obama's folks did in in Ukraine. But we are always meddling, whether it's Obama, Clinton, Bush, Trump. We always think we have to meddle into somebody else's business. But you don't have it exactly right. All right? All right, let's see what else we got here. Gene Daigle is in the house. He says, Paul, let's see. What does he say? Is it private NGO? You are correct that Doge broke in yet another illegal act with the Trump administration. Yeah, I mean, the Trump administration is a criminal enterprise. I think all of us know that by now. The Trump administration is a criminal enterprise. All right, anybody's going to call 281-823-7747. We got about 3 more minutes before we got to start shutting this baby down. But I hope all of you understood what our Caribbean brothers and sisters were talking about. Charlie Lindahl, what's up?
Hey, Egberto.
My HPJC brother. Talk to me.
I just tuned in, but I responded back to your email about Schumer.
Uh-huh.
And I agree with his decision. And here's why.
You're an idiot.
And okay, my stepson says I'm an idiot. I agree with Schumer because what he was saying is if the Democrats vote to suppress, to not do the shutdown, his argument was, and this was on Meet the Press, was that the Trump administration could then turn around and say, we will not allow the courts to be involved at all from now for the next couple of months. The court rulings are completely invalid across the board. That's what his argument was.
His argument.
The Trump administration. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, my brother.
No, it's not. Oh no, I'm just saying. His saying that the courts would be taken out of the picture by the Trump administration because they'd say that they had emergency powers to completely suppress any court challenges at all. That was his argument. Go ahead.
And the problem with that argument is that it's Chuck Schumer is one person. We have a lot of other legal experts that are attorneys. Okay. Like for the one from Rhode Island, we have Chris from Connecticut. We have a lot of them that have a different opinion, and most of their opinions differed from Chuck.
Okay, that was the main sticking point for me.
I get it. No, and that's look. Let me tell you, I am not. This isn't something that we are going to. What is the word that my brother called earlier this morning. When I say my brother, I mean my brother from another mother from Pennsylvania, and another friend of mine.
Sure.
And he and what he said, he agrees with you. Okay. And that's fine because there were both bad choices, right?
Oh yeah, but there's no question here. Yeah,
they were both bad choices. Here's my problem. Okay, my problem is that I think capitulating means that we show that we are not willing to take risks. Because remember, a failing government is just as bad for Trump as it is for anybody else as well. And eventually, the government will have to open back up. Eventually, people are going to be screaming. The problem is that we don't take risk while they do, and their risks have paid off. And I see your point, and I see Tim's point. My brother that called me earlier this morning. I honestly do. But I was willing to take that risk because I think not taking that risk makes us look like pushovers that we are not willing to fight.
Believe me, I understand that. I understand that position as well. I do. But the thing that if we give them unrestricted access to do whatever the hell they want for a month before they clear out the courts, to me that is a incredible risk and it's likely to happen. So anyway,
and I think my brother is that they have unrestricted rights right now because they have been going. The one thing about it is the court can say something, but who affects the laws who affects the justice of the law? The executive. So right now, Donald Trump is going into agencies that the court has told him you can't go into. Right? And so there's nothing stopping him. Yeah. Right. So what I'm saying is, if he's ignoring it right now, why give him a law that forces Congress to ignore what he's doing? And that's what the continuing resolution has a clause in there. I think it's in the continuing resolution that makes a day forever. In other words, while Congress has days in which they could, for all the damage that he does, they could come in. They have sold that right away with the CR, and that's my problem. By having that CR, that right has been sold. But look, my brother, that's the one good thing about when we discuss these things, and I hope everybody realize that. Look, we're all in this game together, and you don't have to. You don't have to agree with all the things. Now, I am 100% supporting what has to get done going forward. What's done is done.
Right. Agreed. I am too. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's done is done. Now, I want new leadership. I will say that. I think we need new leadership. Yeah. And in getting new leadership, I think we need folks who understand the new media infrastructure. I don't know if you saw the piece that I just did with Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki pointed it out. She pointed out exactly what the problem is with Chuck Schumer. And if you haven't seen it, take a look at it again. But I got to go, my brother.
No, I tuned in. Let me throw out one last thing. There's an idea that there's going to be tremendous pressure for Chuck Schumer to resign as head of the Senate and not be in the Senate anymore. Okay, and the proposal is, let's let AOC run for Senate. Whoa.
I don't know if that's viable right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway. Okay, that's fine. And
I said no. Go ahead. You can say it. You can say it. Say it. What do you need to say?
Oh, no, I'm just saying I think AOC ought to do it. By the way, I will be in Denver next week, and Friday night I'm going to be going to the Bernie and AOC event in Denver live. So I will be glad to call in and tell you what I get from that.
I hope to hear from you, my brother. Okay?
Good. All right. Thank you for everything you're doing. Catch you later.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Bye. All right, guys. Look, we got to get out of here. I'm going to read the rest of the comments later on. But K. Mill, welcome to Politics Done Right. Said, did the risk include shutting the government down indefinitely, as it seems like the Republicans were hoping for a shutdown and are willing to destroy everything to get what they want? And the thing about it is that because they would have hurt Appalachia, K. Mill, I can tell you one thing. That would have eventually given us back some. I tell you what, let's talk about that tomorrow. I'd love for you to call in tomorrow and let's talk about that. All right. But I got to go now. But before I go, I want to encourage, I only have time for one pitch here. I want to encourage all of you who wants to support the program and understand why supporting this program is essential to consider becoming subscribers of our newsletter. Okay. And I'm talking about paid subscribers of our newsletter because that is what we need right now to keep this stuff going and active. And that is at politicsandright.com/newsletter. politicsandright.com/newsletter. If you are watching us through Substack, just go ahead and join up from there, my friends. Anyway, gotta go. My name is Egberto Willies. Love you all. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what?
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want.